Hey there, Starlight here. So, for this module, we are diving into creating your magic formula. The magic formula is my fancy way of saying how you can turn your intellectual property, your proven impact and expertise into a program that scales. It streamlines and grows your business, the value in your business, and it does so year after year after year. This is a key that I think is missing in most people's businesses. And part of the reason why they often hit income ceilings, because they're still creating a lot of one off offers and they haven't really honed in and locked in on what their magic formula is. You've probably heard this called a million different things: a signature framework, your method, a process, the blueprint. Stu McLaren calls it the success path. Whatever it is the way for your business, right? It's like it's the path that helps you offer your expertise at scale while guaranteeing that the quality of your work is maintained, right? What nobody tells you is that this is how experts like you turn a regular schmegular offer into a customer centric, transformation driven, legacy building impact and deliver it at scale with ease. Right? This formula alone has been one of the biggest game changers that I've seen in my business, in my clients' business, and it is used by all the big dogs. Real talk, it's time for you to have yours. Yeah. Now, the more that you trust the process here, the more opportunities you will uncover to take what you offer and turn it into a program that is absolutely untouchable by your competition. So here's the deal. If you don't get this right, this is what happens. You'll continue creating 100 different offers, wondering what you should or should not include, and then wondering why it's not selling out. You'll have to create a million different unique bits of content to grow your audience and your list. And then inevitably, because you're following the herd in course and program design, you end up being just another like course creator or another coach instead of what you really dream of, which is being known for your work, having massive impact in the world, and leaving a legacy of quality transformative guidance, right? So the goal of this is to help you create a program that delivers legit transformation at scale. That means creating an offer with ease. All the pieces are already in place. It's simply about adding a new dimension, right? We've got a lovely foundation, and that foundation is your magic formula. And as your offers continue to evolve and your business continues to evolve, there is a spiral and a depth that is added to your program without you needing to completely rebuild the stack from top to bottom. And it continues to add dimensions to your program and offer opportunities for you to scale your program based on that depth dimension. Fucking cool, right? Girl, you don't even know. This is such a like game changing tactic here. It's not even really a tactic. It's essential to success, real talk. And I think not enough people really push on how valuable this is. And so I'm excited that you're doing this in your process. The other desire, generally, there's a couple other reasons that we're doing this and at getting legit transformation is a fundamental value of mine, which is if I'm going to spend the time to create something, I want to be able to use it 1,000 times. And that means turning every bit of content that you create into a recurring revenue opportunity that's perfectly targeted to your best customers. Did you hear that? It's not about creating the content and using it 1,000 times. Yay, and repurposing and recycling. No, no, no. It is about taking every bit of content that you have and turning it into recurring revenue that is perfectly targeted to your best customers. Freaking dope, right? The outcome of this absolutely essential step in your program design results in you having intellectually unique and valuable property that is ready for trademarking, that's ready for licensing. If you want to create a certification program, if you're ready to scale from one-on-one to group programs to memberships to DIY courses to 3-day challenges to lead magnets, like the scale in this system is exponential. And at the end of the day, what it does is it creates impact that can be proven, repeated, taught, and delivered anytime, anywhere, right? It's pretty freaking impressive. Now, there are three common mistakes that people make in this process that I'm going to share with you now in the hopes that you can avoid them. In this exercise, I would like you, to the best of your ability, to avoid just filling in the information with any existing offers that you have, right? Use the exercises here to be divergent in your thinking. This isn't the time to bring baggage to the exercise. This is really the opportunity to give yourself freedom to do this exercise with fresh eyes. Second, getting obsessed with the verbiage and not the results. Initially, when you first do this, it might be difficult to let go of your normal way of talking about your program. And you may want to get the language perfect, but it's actually better to get the framework right and the information right before you then tighten it up and make it your brand language, right? Get comfortable with the idea that you may edit this a few times before it's perfect, where the fuck perfect is. And that actually this framework may continue to evolve for a while because your offer, your perspective, your insight, your ability to deliver impact may also continue to evolve, right? Do yourself a favor and don't cling to weak ideas just because they're the first one. Okay. And then the third mistake to avoid here is to focus on your features, your price, or your format, or the exercises, instead of actually focusing on the impact to your customers. This is not about the features of your program. This is about the transformation that you can deliver to your audience and creating a customer centric program that you can guarantee gets results. This is not about what you'll include in your offer, how many Zoom sessions, how many coaching calls, whether you're a Voxer, whatever. Like, this has nothing to do with that. Don't do your best not to focus on the features, the price, the format, or the exercises. This is about shifting your lens of focus purely to a customer centric vision. All right, so let's talk about what comes next. How do we create a program that allows your business to achieve real growth without burning out, while also being something that creates massive impact? I love this visual here because if you imagine that your ability to have impact is the structure, tools, and assembly that this requires in order to be built, and the impact is the person being able to make their wish and set the lantern alight and into the sky. And then being able to do that massive level the way that's shown here. That's why I've got this dope little model here. Okay, this is where I'm going to throw a wrench in things and talk about something that I think is like a massively misunderstood opportunity for people who are service providers, coaches, experts, published thought leaders, etc. One of the greatest myths in marketing is that you've got to work on your offer. You got to have this offer and you got to have that offer and you got to create all these things and they're all targeted towards your niche, this person here, right? And what I actually see a lot of people doing is that they're solving a lot of problems for a single avatar, which means they're doing 10 different things all the time. And that's a lot of work when you think about things over and over and over again being created. This is very difficult to scale and it is so much work because you're creating this offer and you're going from concept into pricing, into program, and create the content, create the funnel, and create the marketing, and sell it and launch it, and hope that you get enough people and grow your audience and create lead magnets and da 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 for all of these different offers. That's a lot of recreating the wheel. And frankly, this method of business really only works well for high end boutiques. The other hand is this customer centric scale without fail model. And this means that rather than creating a bunch of different products for the same person, we're going to solve one problem very, very well and we'll be able to use it to serve anybody who has that problem. You hear the difference? Over here, we've made the niche a person, and we're creating all of these offers to help this person solve the problem. Whereas over here, we've focused on a very high value problem, and we've made it, by the nature of having a framework, available to anybody who might have that problem. What does that mean? It means that we're really only creating and doing this work once. It also means that we have a lot of opportunities for scalability. We can have a lot more impact and, of course, higher profitability. Now, what does this actually look like? Customer centric, transformation driven offers help your customers make a transformation, minute transformation, into a desired future state. The whole idea is that we take them from pain point, actively suffering from this place, to the outcome that they desire. Now, for everybody, there is some level of friction that needs to be overcome in order to become this desired self. I like to say, like, people need three things in order to make a permanent transformation in their life. They need the motivation. But the motivation, we can't do much to help it. Can't drag them to the destination if they don't want to go. The second is, it really helps to have a plan. There's just something about the way the human mind works that even if we want something and we imagine it being available to us, if we can't see the steps to get there, we have a really hard time actually making a transformation. So a proven plan, solid gold. And then the third thing that people really need for a transformation is a coach or a guide or someone to show them the way and help them avoid common obstacles. Now, not everybody can afford a coach or a guide or a mentor. Those things might not be available to them, but those people often spend more time in the try, learn, and find out cycle where they're doing it themselves, but they might have to spin their wheels and like cycle through the learning process and application process a little bit more because they don't have someone to guide them and help them find the right plan for them. So there's a little bit more experimentation in their process. That's why ideally, somebody who's looking to create a permanent transformation has those three things. They have the motivation, they have the right plan to get them to their desired outcome, and they have somebody who they can trust to show them the way, right? As you can see here, friction can look like a lot of different things, right? It might just be the available options to them for actually making the leap to their desired condition. It may be their own perceptions and mindset. It may be the fact they don't have a plan or a guide. Their limitations may be internal. They may just lack the knowledge of this process, right? And so the whole idea of your formula is to help people make the transition from their current condition into their desired condition and reduce or remove the friction required to get there, right? This is where your signature formula comes in place. Now, this is where I want to make a little bit of a side note. There is an element of people being concerned that when they're creating this sort of product, this sort of program that is really focused around the transformation and the customer centric solution, that they will have to accept clients that aren't their ideal clients. This is not the same thing as working with people we don't want to work with, right? This is not the same thing as a target customer. This is a very narrowly defined archetype. This is a very specifically defined problem that is useful to people. But at the end of the day, your magic formula gets to have a lovely velvet rope that even if I said like, I can get these results for anybody, the people that I choose to work with have these particular qualities, right? And so your velvet rope looks different. This is where your values come in. This is where your ideal customer avatar comes in. Just because you're creating a formula that scales and can be used by a lot of people doesn't mean that you have to sell it to all those people. It just means that your ability to create this magic formula for your business will help you scale in unique ways. I don't want you to think that by creating a magic formula, that means you have to serve everybody. There's still a lovely little healthy boundary between the masses and the right people for your business. You'll hear me say this a lot. Your product is the marketing is the product. That means that once you create the formula at its highest level, you can pull elements out of it that make it scalable at various levels of offer while also serving your customers at different levels of being able to invest with you, right? Let's say this is like your super massive, high ticket. Oh my God, it costs $50,000 to work with you, piece of pie up here. This might be your group membership. This might be a one-on-one strategy session. This might be the DIY course. This might be a series of like bite-sized DIY programs that are super affordable. This might be a real quick download. And this over here might be your lead magnet on the outside of the velvet rope, right? But all of these pieces come from your formula. It's simply variations on your formula, not a change in content, just a change in structure that helps address the various levels of friction being, I don't have enough money. Maybe I'm not at the stage where I'm ready to go whole hog. Maybe I need to do some foundational work first before I'm really ready to like bring the heat to this more cohesive offer, right? The idea is that this formula that you create can then be reassembled or resorted for different intentions and different customers at different stages without actually having to create from scratch more offers. You feel me? We'll dive into what that looks like a little bit more. Here's a few examples of signature frameworks that I've seen around, right? Some of you might be familiar with the Genius model. This is from an amazing guy in Australia. I forget his name, that kind of uses this visual to create a signature offer. Here's an example of where this person's done it as a singular path moving forward. You might be familiar with the membership experiences success path that Stu McLaren uses for memberships. This is somebody who's has a signature framework, but that signature framework doesn't have a like step 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually something where they will continue to cycle through these steps over the length of their relationship with the business. And this is an example of where like I put one framework into a highly text driven method that talks about each step and what it helps the customer do, right? Your version of your signature framework, your version, your visual of your magic formula is flexible. These are just ideas to help drive the idea forward, right? For those of you who are focused on creating a membership, you'll recognize this in that there are stages along the course of your customer's membership. There are milestones, aka things that demonstrate they are ready to move forward, which is different than actions. Actions are things that they need to accomplish, right? An example here might be an action is setting up my email marketing. A milestone might be having a lead magnet, an autoresponder, and a welcome sequence ready to rock and roll, growing their email list, seeing people move through the welcome sequence, right? You see the difference between like actions versus milestones. But this is one way where you can talk about here at this stage, we're focused on this particular outcome. At this stage, we're focused on this particular outcome. What I'm going to show you in the exercise is how to fill this in a way that is strategic and not just something that you pull out of your head and look at this and go, okay, I need 5 stages. I need some milestones. I need some actions. We're not starting with the structure. The structure is the outcome of all of this. So how do we get to the structure? You might have seen this example from another one of my videos, but I called this the massive impact framework. And what it's really about is saying that there's 3 obstacles to somebody having massive impact. In this case, massive impact is more members, more revenue, more impact. And that is, these are the obstacles: confusion, stagnation, and overwhelm. Now, what people really want instead of confusion is absolute clarity. They want to know their offer is killer. They want to know their pricing is right. They want to know their strategy is good. They want to know their program is competitive and better than their better than their competitors. Like they need clarity so that they have confidence to move forward. And then instead of stagnation, they really want to see next level growth, right? Stagnation is this like, oh, I can't seem to get more members. As soon as I get more members, I lose members. When in reality, they want to be hitting milestones one after the other. I want 100 members. I want 250. I want 500. I want 1,000. I want 1,500. I want 5,000, right? Like this is the true desire for people who are kind of suffering with stagnation. And rather than overwhelm, we're going to focus on stellar systems. Now, I'm going to pause for a minute in talking you through the choreography of this to point out that this conversation is the conversation that I'm having with my target customers that has absolutely nothing to do with the course program delivery mechanism of my signature solution, right? This is my magic formula, one of my magic formulas, the massive impact magic freaking formula, or in this case, the bottle lightning formula for massive impact. This is how I introduce it because I'm introducing it in the context that my customers are struggling with these obstacles and have these desires instead, right? This is ultimately what they're working towards, but each of these kind of break down into three pieces. Now, when I look at this in creating my program, I say, well, how do I make sure that my target customer has absolute clarity? How do I make sure that they have next level growth? How do I make sure that they have stellar systems? And this is where we kind of dive into the blueprint behind my offer, which includes the three sort of focused bits for each of these areas. Where here we're focusing on the promise, the program, and personalization. Over here, we're talking about visibility, culture, and capacity inside of your program. And over here, we're talking about systems that attract, retain, and regenerate growth, right? And so at this point, I could say to my target customer, if you want absolute clarity in order to get massive impact, you need to have a locked in promise, a killer freaking program, and a personalized path for your members. If you want next level growth, you need to have a visibility strategy, a culture strategy on how your community culture will scale and still be a yummy, impactful place to be, and your member experience and your engagement and your development of those members. And then, like the actual capacity that you will have for next level growth, which touches on your tech, your team, training. And then once we got these things locked in, great. Now we're headed into stellar systems where we're going to make sure you've got systems that attract your customers and convert them and then retain them as customers, and how you can, as much as possible, regenerate that growth cycle by having additional systems in place that are strictly built around regenerative growth, right? This is what I show people when I'm talking about my offer, massive impact. You'll notice at this point, I haven't said anything about Zoom calls or coaching or anything. If my clients, my potential customers are nodding their head and going, yes, I want this. Yes, you're right. Yes, those are my obstacles. Yes, that is what I want instead. I know they're a good fit for the program, and I haven't even told them what the program price, structure, model is yet. Doesn't matter. Now, within this, for me, I have activities in my arsenal of my business that help people accomplish at an impactful way each of these stages. Now, if you were to say, what all is included in massive impact? And I just went, oh, this stuff, it would be hella overkill. People would get overwhelmed and they would lose focus on the fact that this program is designed to deliver massive impact with absolute clarity, next level growth, and stellar systems, right? The reason that we start in the middle and work our way out is so that people are on board by the idea. For me, this is my graphic to go, okay, when somebody in my program, massive impact, is working on their formula, this is where it fits into the grand scheme of my intellectually protected program framework that I can use to repeat my results no matter who I'm working with, as long as they meet some specific requirements, as long as they're the right customer for this offer. If somebody goes through and they complete all of these lovely little side quests, they are highly likely, if not guaranteed, to have massive impact. More members, more money, more impact, right? Now, what you may not realize is that this same model is actually, yes, yes, thank you, darling, mapped out into a linear structure where I keep track of each step, what each step accomplishes, and what actions need to be accomplished by my target customer in order to um, consider that step completed and robust. This is where your signature framework comes into, and we translate from this visual of like something that's really great to track and discuss with potential clients to, yes, thank you for this lovely animation, to a program design that I can now go, okay, I'm ready to build and launch a signature program. I know that I need to have these three modules created in order to fully close the door on promise. Freaking great. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get them recorded. Let's get them scheduled. Let's get them sold. Let's whatever. And I can move through this framework, creating content and creating program content, and then I can begin repurposing it based on depth and context, right? So let's say, for example, someone may have a big fat budget and want your undivided attention to get this accomplished ASAP. They're a perfect person for a one on one offer. I'm still going to walk through them with these 9 steps, but I'm going to do it at their pace and we're going to bang it out and we're going to get it done. Now, not all people are ready for this level of investment. Not all people are ready for this level of program. And maybe some of those people really just need to focus on advancing their systems. And so I could put together 7, 8, and 9 as a standalone series of activities, programs, group context, VIP weekends, get shit done sessions in order to help people accelerate through these steps as a prerequisite and preparation to turn customers who maybe aren't ready for this program into people who are ready for this program. I could turn everything under promise into a little mini DIY email course for low ticket, $27. Just get everything you need to know that you have data driven confidence that your messaging and audiences are aligned, right? When I want to create a lead magnet, I go and I pick which one of these has a workbook, a video, a how to, a check sheet, something that I would use to help my clients get results. I'm going to pick one actionable, small, bite sized piece and make that my lead magnet. You know why? Because if that lead magnet comes from my program and it's not interesting to someone, then they're not a great fit for my target customer, right? They're not a great fit for my program. This allows me to pick the big shiny object and offer it to my target customers as a lead magnet without having to start at 1.1 to get them into the program. For example, I'm sure you've created a million things and you know that almost all things start out with profiling your ideal customer or creating a great avatar. And I could easily create a lead magnet for this. In fact, I have one. But a little secret between you and me, nobody opts in for it. Why? Because everybody's created an avatar. Nobody wants to do another one. And they don't understand or see or have any big shiny attached to this because they're not looking at they don't care about starting with step one. Nobody cares about starting step one. What does everybody care about? The technology, tech in your digital ecosystem. They care about the lead capture system, the nurture sequences, the customer conversion experience. When I show this to my ideal customers and I say, what of all of these things, what step interests you the most? They almost always pick 6, 7, or 9. when I say, okay, let's say you picked step number 7, of step 7, which of these areas do you wish you could get the info on fastest? They'll pick one. And then I'll go into that area and pick a couple of different opportunities to create lead magnets from that specific content. And these, my lead capture and nurture sequence customer conversion experience lead magnets, convert higher than everything else because there's a big shiny object. But what about giving away the big shiny object and all the stuff that has to come before it? You're totally right. One, I'm not giving away everything. I'm not telling them how to accomplish step 7 from top to bottom. I'm giving them a piece inside of 7 so that they can get a sense of impact, so they can have some actionable progress forward, but also so that they get a sense of the context of where that shiny object lies in the path of getting the results that they're going for. This promise: deliver a laser focused program, chart next level growth, thanks to stellar systems designed for massive impact at scale in their business, for their customers, and in the world. That's a hell of a promise. That can't be accomplished by one little checklist from step number 7, right? But when I say, by the way, if this is what you want, you should know that this little nugget that I've given you here fits into the context of this larger framework where you will be able to get results like I've promised over here if you follow all these steps. And spoiler alert, I include these steps in our group program, in the course, in my coaching program, in my one on one, in my, right? Like, just create the context for it. This is an example of what I mean when I say that. The program, what you're seeing here, your framework, is the marketing, meaning that I went to my program to find marketing to market my program. And in creating marketing, the marketing is around preparing people and getting them ready to join the program. See the connection there? Okay. Most people don't go one lead magnet straight to strategy call, straight to purchase. They kind of hop around your offers and what you have and get a sense of who you are and what it is you're offering. And when you do that inside of your signature framework, you know that your messaging is always aligned with the outcome of the thing that you want to be known for, with the quality and caliber of transformation that you promise, at the scale at which it's valuable to your target customer, wherever they may be in their journey. There's just no higher value offer out there. The rest is like creative expression and ideas and whatever. And like, good on you to want to create lots of offers and experiment. That's for early stage businesses who are figuring out their lane and figuring out what really catches with their audience. Experiment, experiment. But when it comes to actually having impact and taking your expertise and making it scalable and licensable and protected intellectual property and trademarkable, or create a certification program or whatever, like, this becomes a non-negotiable step. And I know I kind of keep repeating that bit, but can't be understated. Okay. Can't be overstated. Can't be understated. Can't be overstated. Can't be overstated. All right. The whole idea is that from this space, you have, like the flower of life, this could be one particular aspect. This could be one particular module. This could be a module. This could be an offer. This could be a program, right? You have a lot of different pieces that together combine to expand and be able to serve at scale. And this is how you actually achieve creating a program that delivers legacies, that like impacts thousands and millions of people. And it's one program, but it's created and offered in so many different ways that you only really have to create it once. But the way that you resort those little bag of marbles and sell them gives you the opportunity to just have massive impact at scale. Okay, enough ranting. Let's talk about how you create your formula, right? Your magic formula. This is the exercise by which you begin creating your magic formula, right? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify our little cliffies, right? Because we've got people over here who want to get over here. And this is our tasty before state. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And over here, we've got our after state. Your program is the promise that you're the person with the plan to get them from their before state to the after state. This is actually like their now state, right? This is all of the current pain points that your ICA is suffering from right now related to your promised impact, right? This let's use a specific example. I am working on a program, not a program, a little small bite-sized segment of my larger signature framework that helps people nurture their email list and make more money from their list. It's a common obstacle to my customers. It's one of the conversion systems that are pretty essential in my signature framework. And so, in this particular context, let's say we're talking about people who have email lists that are likely cold and or dead, God forbid. They have a list, they have lead magnets, but it's not growing or making money like they thought. They think it should, right? Everybody says your email list should be making you money. You should be earning $1 in recurring revenue every month for every member on your email list. Grow your list, grow your list, grow your list. And like for some people, they may have a list, they may have the lead magnets, but they don't have a great growth rate. They have an abysmal sales history with launching stuff to their email list. They have a list, but it's not bringing in dollars, right? These are some of the current now state of this particular program. And in this particular program, just because I kind of already know what I'm promising, the promise here is that I'll help you create an email list that is like a money tree. Go shake it, money fruit falls out, falls down. Hell yeah, that sounds dope, right? So we're gonna make it purple for promise. And then over here, because I know my target customer, I know that the outcome of this is actually the desired outcome and immediate goals of my ICA and how my solution helps them get a result, right? So actually, it's not how my solution, it's like, and the impact that my solution promises, right? We're not making promises we can't keep, but we are making promises because promises is where we put that transformation at the core of what it is we're delivering. And that's what's going to attract them, right? Because it's the thing that they desire. You want to stop doing this and have this, then this is the plan, right? So, in doing this for yourself, I want you to go ahead and draw out your little cliffs and make a list of everything you know as their current now before state miseries and everything you know as their desired outcomes. I swear to God, if desired outcomes looks like something like empowered ascension, you're blowing it. I need this to be tangible, measurable impact in their life. If you're offering a program that is helping people quote unquote ascend, what does ascended look like in their day to day living? How, when you looked at them, would you know they are suffering from symptoms of needing this program versus symptoms of having and implementing this program? So try and zoom out from your fancy, like personal expert language and really focus on the tangible impact, right? That is the only thing that I use to create new offers and programs. This email program is going to be a little standalone offer for people who need to focus on their list. It's a great lead into my larger offer. It is a big shiny object that people with email lists really want. It's especially important for people who are creating communities. Like, this is highly valuable to my ideal customer, but it fits inside of the bigger picture of my framework so that everything I create for this unique offer is actually reusable, repurposable at every level. I can use pieces of this with my one-on-one clients. I can use checklists from this or templates for lead magnets. I can create low ticket product offers with my like sequences and email templates or swipe files, right? Like, just allow yourself to see how the zooming in and zooming out of your program can have impact above and beyond like this specific framework. We're starting with your big framework, but I'm trying to show you also how this can be applied at an even more granular level while still staying aligned with what it is that I promise in my business, right? Which is next level growth, massive impact, a legacy that matters. This still fits under that promise. This still fits in alignment with why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing. So I want you to do this same thing. You're allow yourself to like circle around this a few times because we're going to come up with a few things and allow ourselves to be flexible and divergent before we begin to converge. So we've got a couple pieces over here. We've got common obstacles and we have what must be accomplished. We'll dive into that there in a sec. So for common obstacles, we're trying to hone in on the top three, right? I know that there's like a massive lack of understanding around second stage email list development. So I know lack of understanding is a pretty key obstacle. I know that the system setup or lack thereof can be kind of overwhelming. This is a hell of an exercise. I know. I appreciate you sticking with me because this is a big piece and I might find ways to like chunk this down, but I really wanted to show you this in action so that you could put it into action for yourself. Okay, additional common obstacles. Let's see what else I've got here in my notes for this because I've already done this. There's no cohesive plan. Girl, this is problematic, right? Without a cohesive plan that ties all of this together, it is really tough to get results like this without that. I also have a couple other things here. No cohesive plan, unreliable systems, right? Unreliable or unimplemented, and then confusion and distraction. So I know these are some of the common obstacles that I'm working with. Out of these, I can pick the ones that I think are the most impactful and map one to each side of my model. Now, why am I doing that? Because this helps me like go from all the things that I could do and solve down to the three biggest obstacles to my customers getting success and being able to make it to this after state based on my experience, based on what I've seen my customers do, based on everything that I know. There are limiting it down to the three most impactful obstacles is where I want to start with this. This is literally where like I just started brainstorming what might be included in this program and what the program promises and how I'm going to keep it aligned. And so this is still very much in draft form and we're kind of doing this together, but I wanted you to see the process because this is what you'll be doing. So I know that of these obstacles, confusion is a big one, right? I think lack of understanding is actually more powerful. Remember, we're going to revise this a little bit, so feel free to create a few versions. Another really like brutal one is no cohesive plan. Creating things over and over again, learning the hard way, et cetera, et cetera. Like that is so detrimental to turning an email list into a money tree. These are the things that I know as marketing nerd, email expert, as somebody who has like created this email money tree over and over and over again for my clients to the point at which I know how to like shake a tree, an email list so that 10K falls out on any given Sunday, makes me qualified to create this program, right? So keep that in mind. You're doing the same thing for yourself. You have qualifications that tell you exactly what the obstacles are and exactly what people need to do instead, right? Now, what we're actually going to try, what we're actually going to promise is that instead of having a painful lack of understanding, they're going to have like crystal clear expertise in their list. Like I want to build a money tree for people who know how to keep that money tree alive and bearing fruit. Yeah. And so that's really what this stage is about. I'm going to make a few notes about that, right? Like, nourish, grow, and harvest like a pro. Yeah. Hell yeah. Perfect. Love this. Do a little tweaky. Sorry, I'm a visual person and it needs to be symmetrical to me, or like it makes me feel. Under here, under no cohesive plan, I'm going to do like a killer communication strategy, right? Like, let's just jump right to killing it. I want a strategy that gets results. And because by the nature of email marketing, now that I understand how to grow my list, I want and nourish and harvest like a champ. I want you to show me how to communicate with them anytime, anywhere, right person, right stage, what message, what lead magnet, what offer to share them. I want to have a communication strategy that is just on lock so that the right person, this is what it is, the right person gets the right message at the right time, right message and right offer at the right time. Hell yeah. That sounds dope, right? We on board? Okay. You can see how like emergency. Okay, you get it. Let's go over here to unreliable systems. Instead of unreliable systems, what I'd actually like is a flywheel of capture, nurture, growth. This means that when somebody comes into the system, how they come into the system and then remain in the system continues to feed them into the middle of this flywheel until they real talk, until they freaking subscribe, or until they buy or unsubscribe, right? Like the whole idea is that we're going to continue giving them opportunities and offers that even though they may not be ready to buy today, the day that they are ready, they will have been served the right thing at the right time over time, right? I don't know if flywheel with capture, nurture, convert really captures that. Yeah, this really is like a flywheel. This is basically a system that continues to present them these offers until that works. I think I'm going to come back to this particular section because I don't like how this is worded, but I want to move on to the last step. This is where we're going to do a bit of brainstorming. I've already done this little bit of brainstorming. This bit of brainstorming is shown in your workbook, where you've got your program promise, right? You've already locked that in with undeniable messaging. So the goal here is for you to say, for my customers to achieve the results that I have promised them, in this case, for my customers to achieve creating an email list that's actually like a money tree, my customers will have to what? Right? This puts the action back on them. This isn't about programs. This isn't about content. This isn't about, oh my God, all the amazing things that I'm going to add and create into this program. For someone to uh, say that they've completed all these steps and have an email list that is like a money tree, what will they need to do? Right. And so this is where like I'm just going to create a list of some of the things that I've noted here because I kind of went whole hog and made a big list, which is what I want you to do. Once you've kind of mapped out the basics here, this is where you get to brainstorm. I love using sticky notes for this step. Like I go through and create like a grip of sticky notes where one action is on each sticky so that I can like sort and reorganize them and see how the program emerges in the best way. You can do this with any sort of medium, however you like to be creative, a simple piece of paper. Real, in this case, instead of using stickies, I just brainstormed and wrote down a bunch of stuff that I knew my customer would need to accomplish in order to have an email list that is actually like a money tree. The whole idea is that once I've done my really divergent brainstorming, I can begin to, let's just switch back over to it. I can begin to condense my program into segments that make sense, right? This is where you can include everything you've ever created for a program, everything you thought you wanted to create, like allow yourself to go super duper divergent in brainstorming. I kind of just threw up some examples that like real talk sound weak sauce in the context of that. So I clearly have some work to do around this framework. The next step after brainstorming your guts out is to see if a pattern emerges, right? What actions can be grouped together? What actions are actually truly impactful and what ones are fun little extra bonuses, but aren't really required in that, 80-20. Is this the 20% that will get them the most results, right? So once you're done brainstorming, we head into this curation stage where you're going to review all of your actions and group them by similar or related items. And then you're going to curate them down into the most important steps. No less than 5, no more than 9 steps, and label each step with a name for that step, right? For each step, I want you to be able to clearly articulate this step helps my customers accomplish what, right? I'll dive into that a little bit more as an example. And then from each group or step, I want you to choose 3 and only 3 of the most impactful actions from your whole big brainstorm that help them accomplish this step promise. Now we've taken the promise of our program and we've made it even granular all the way down to in this framework, this step has the promise of what, and these actions deliver on that promise, right? For stuff that doesn't make the cut, I don't want you to feel like this stuff doesn't matter. This is really great things to keep to the side for bonuses or upgrades or add-ons or upsells or prerequisites to your program. But for now, we're focusing on the core framework and like the bit that creates this magic formula for you personally. So let's pop back over to our whiteboard here. This is now where we're getting into your unique framework that makes this possible, right? So, because this is my unique magic formula or my blueprint or my signature process or my success path, these are some of the things that I see emerging right out of the gate. So let's start with like, what healthy money trees look like. This is not the final version because this is not exactly intellectually protectable info. This is more like big fat sentences, but it'll help us kind of get this stuff mapped out. I can come up with clever little branding stuff that names each of these stages as I continue to develop. I also know that there are some core activities that are associated with each of these steps, right? So I'm kind of breaking them into steps, what that step does, and then the actions that are required for that step. Again, this is me brainstorming. This is not my final model. In fact, when you see my final model, it will resemble a fraction of this. Okay, I'm not going to keep going in this because this could easily become boring if it hasn't become boring already. I usually don't go this in depth with videos just because this is a long and beefy thing to bring into the world for you. But I wanted you to kind of begin seeing how this takes action, or it actually takes shape. The next thing that you'll notice in the workbook itself, if you prefer to be kind of a linear person, is that this is where you begin to go through and be really specific about each of the elements inside of your program, right? What is the title and the promise of this program? What is the before state? A list of subscribers. What is the end state? What are the three core sides of this, right? Love it. And now I know that the steps associated with this, so I can this step. I would say this step helps my customers accomplish this narrow, specific outcome. And these are the three specific actions they need to accomplish past this step. Say you're ready for the next one, right? And you can go through and turn your triangle model into a linear program design that kind of also helps you visualize it and map it in a different way so that you can begin to see where things might need to be reshuffled or reversioned. While the triangle model is super dope, it's also tricky for those of us who like to see things linearly. And so this is the alternative. And when you do both, you'll identify gaps in content that maybe you haven't thought of or maybe you haven't created yet. My suggestion at this particular stage is to stay away from ChatGPT until you have a draft of the framework, and then use ChatGPT to suss out things you maybe forgot or didn't include, or areas that you could consider instead, or to validate the impact of the steps and outcomes that you've chosen. Because at that stage, you're working with refining your own intellectual property and your own expertise rather than going directly to ChatGPT and saying, like, create nine specific steps where each step has three actions that help somebody go from having a list of subscribers to a metaphorical money tree. Like, you could do that, but you're also skipping over your ability to use your expertise in what you know will be impactful for that person. And so, tread that line carefully and softly so that you create something that's truly impactful and truly yours and isn't just a regurgitation of an amalgamation of information like sussed together by a robot on the internet, right? Just like understand the caliber of what we're dealing with here. ChatGPT is totally a tool we'll talk about in another little moon video relative to this particular module. I just want you to start with your version and your draft of your signature framework as you move forward. Now, real talk, you may have 85% of this already figured out in your personal formula because you've created programs or courses before, or you've got this halfway done or whatever. This is your opportunity to revise it and refine it and make it at an appropriate level in which it could be accomplished in a specific window of time, but it also has this dimension, scalability view where you could go from just a little lead magnet all the way to the whole kit and caboodle, right? Let's start with a triangle model. Once we have a good triangle model, you can dive into the linear version and we'll review that with a finer tooth comb. But let's see your version of the triangle model once you feel like you've gotten it to a point at which you have, like, let's say in this case, either two or three on each side of your triangle. By the way, you don't have to have three, you can have two. Two is good. One is probably two minimum for the level of impact that you'll have. Three is just fine if you nasty, right? And then for each of those steps, three core, absolutely essential, unmissable. If you only did three things, these three things will make all the difference in this area actions that your customer needs to do in order to get the results that you promise. I would love to see it with the before and after cliffs as well so that I can understand the context of where this is going. But this is what I would love to see and help review with you. Okay, so we have really dove into exactly what it looks like to take this messy process of brainstorming, ideating, taking what you understand about your target customers, and beginning to assemble a magic formula that is yours and yours alone. Here's what I want to remind you about. Allow yourself to view this exercise with fresh eyes. Um, Create a draft, take a break, come back, resort, edit, review, test it, run it through ideas. Real talk, your first draft is probably not your strongest, and your willingness to revise and come at it a few times before it reaches its final state is in your best interest in how you push through generic problem solving into your expertise, impactful, customer centric, transformation driven changing. Yeah. Okay. Two, remember to focus entirely on what your best clients need. We are not trying to create a signature formula that is designed for the lowest common denominator. That means I don't want to see your signature framework include activities and actions that are designed to help the people who have a really hard time and don't do it right and don't listen and don't accomplish things. Like, let's assume, for the sake of your program, that the people who decide to drink your magic formula are not needing to get convinced to get off the struggle bus. They are looking for a rocket ship. We can always scale down and make it more accessible. But we want your signature framework to really be for ideal clients who are your best clients, who get the best results, who put their back into it. And if they did everything that you said inside of this formula, that they would get the promised outcomes like 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10. Okay. Focus on what your best clients need, not the lowest common denominator. And then third, I want you to remember that your formula is the marketing and the marketing is the formula. See if you can practice zooming in and out of your formula from a 50,000-foot view versus 50 feet off the ground and what it looks like when you look at it from all these different depths of expertise, understanding, and foundational understanding, right? See if you can train yourself to zoom in and out of your own signature framework as you begin looking for solutions. Your skill and ability to do that once you have a framework that's really locked in for you is what will make the rest of this kind of happen on autopilot and you won't have to think about it so hard. This exercise is mentally squishy. It's going to take what you think you know about your program and twist it and resort it and pull everything out and rearrange it and put it back into a new place. Lean into it. It's meant to challenge you. But the outcome of this makes everything else easier. So lean into the challenge for this particular session, knowing that the outcome of this exercise makes everything down the road for the rest of this program 10 times easier. Yeah. Okay. Here's what you need to do. Go through the brainstorming and divergence exercise. Use the magic little cliffs, create your triangle model, brainstorm everything that somebody would need to do in order to get those promised results, in order to complete that program in the middle, and then curate and combine your method into your personal magic formula. Once you've got a draft or a version, refine the actions, refine the verbiage to make it clear and to make it yours. This is not about being fun and cutesy. This is about being very clear and yet original and aligned with your brand. Okay. What comes after this? This is where you get psyched. Because what we'll do after this is I will show you exactly how we turn this idea into any product, a lead magnet, or piece of content that you create ever. I can show you slide for slide how this becomes a DIY course in a matter of days. We'll also decide how you will measure and prove the progress and the impact that your customers will have as they're going through this framework. Again, this is really about scaling your ability to have impact in the world. And so it's really important that we're able to demonstrate proof that people will get results as they move through this process. So we're going to build into your program checkpoints and methods for you to know and for your customers to know that they're actually knocking it out of the park. And then next, we're also going to be taking your framework and doing something I really love to do, which is exploring all of the strategic product opportunities that will emerge now that you have a single proven formula. Then you're able to choose offers that are the best ones for you and your biz and help your business grow, rather than putting the cart before the horse and thinking about the offer before we actually think about our customer, the transformation that we deliver, and the legacy that our business wants to leave in the world, right? I hope you've enjoyed this exercise. I know that this is a big ass beefy session. There are other videos associated with this module where you can dive in deeper. This one is the foundation to so much of your success long term. This exercise will literally change the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of your business based on what you create in this stage right here, right now. So give it your time and attention. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much. And I will talk to you soon.